What's up, everybody? We already gave you a fresh out of the theater opinion, but this is the more long form version of this thing. This is why we love horror. I'm John Maher. That's Aaron Brooks. Before we get into it, Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to be talking about this. It feels like we never were going to get to finally getting to see this movie with its slow release throughout, the East Coast before finally getting down to us. But we're talking about teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma. Jane Schoenbrun's third entry into their film repertoire, and I think completion of definitely a spiritual sequel trilogy here at this point. I think these three really do fit together, and I'm not gonna speak like as the authority on like the transgender journey at all, but in very layman's terms, like I feel like this is like the fun part of the discovery of becoming who you truly are. While the first, we're all going to the World's Fair was very much about the dysphoria of it all. Then I saw the TV Glows like really about the initial discovery of that and the shifts that does to somebody and how it can make somebody feel. And very, very hard watch, obviously, as we know. And then this is like the sexual awakening, get to the good stuff, become who you truly are, and enjoy it.
I think even more than that, there's a lot of just like commentary that is just genuinely just kind of put into the movie, and it's natural. But there's a lot of like poking fun at people who are uncomfortable with it. Like there's the scene where they're just like, "This part's transphobic," and there's also the part where, there's the speech given about like why would you hire a queer director? It's because this is the reason why you hire queer directors, because you need them like basically as fall people to like prop up lost IP.
Exactly, or zombie IP as they called it in the movie. Do you want to set up a little synopsis of what the movie is?
Yeah, sure. It's difficult, but I'll give the non-spoiler synopsis.
Give the layman's.
Yeah, so we have a openly queer filmmaker, Chris. She has gotten some. They has gotten some.
She had a
yeah, she's gotten some press from like being a experimental filmmaker, and they've decided to use her to get this old, like very just stereotypical tropey slasher franchise, Camp Miasma, off the ground again. They want to revitalize this thing. And there's like 14 movies or 13 movies at that point.
Yeah, there's like great like initial montage.
Yeah, and it's very like it's clear what they're doing. They even keep some of the same titles. They keep some of the same plots. It's very clear what they are poking fun at, and I appreciate that. So they bring her in, and she has an initial vision of just finding the reclusive star, the final girl from the first movie, played by Gillian Anderson, as Billy Presley, yes. And she. So she goes to visit her, and she lives at the actual set of the first movie, The Camp. And basically, from there, it goes into an exploration of queer filmmaking, I guess symbolism in slasher movies. It's like a masterclass.
Desire
on breaking down thematically what 80s slashers movies were all about, and then it goes from there.
Yeah. My initial thoughts, and then I think we can put the spoilers up, but yeah, I think this was fantastic. Like it's as like I'm able to kind of sit on it a little more on my like 30+ minute drive home. Like I just really appreciate what they've been able to do. I think they're Jane Schoenbrun's an incredible voice, one of my favorite filmmakers working today, and they're 3 for 3 for me now. And there's done in such different ways. There's so much like both low and highbrow that you can dissect from this movie. And, it like ultimately is just, about desire. It's about the female gaze. It's about the queer gaze. Like it's about a lot of different things. But I think what makes Jane's work so incredible is that I myself, not queer, not trans, completely able to identify the point of view and the specific issues that don't apply to me, and still able to empathize with them to such like a personal level, like that I find that ultimately they're pretty universal to everybody, what's being talked about in these movies.
Agreed. I will say it's something too, also non-spoilery, and this is just from like a pure like movie-going perspective. Technically and beautiful, like beautifully shot.
Yeah.
The choice of soundtrack is fantastic. Like there's a scene where, and I won't spoil it, but they just play almost the entirety of "A Long December" by Counting Crows, and it works perfectly, even though it has nothing to really do with with like the tone of the scene. But the fact that that song is playing over it, it's very incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, for sure.
Toss up
Yeah,
spoilers.
yeah, we'll toss up spoilers now. This is, and I was listening to an interview with Jane that confirmed that this is Portrait of a Lady on Fire mixed with Friday the 13th slash Sleepaway Camp.
I would say the killer Little Death is if Angela was Jason.
Yeah. And Lil Death, exactly. Lil Death, whose entire story, being a kid who went to both the boys and girls camp, their parents were hermaphrodites who dressed them up as both. They get drowned. He gets drowned at some point in the movie as well. And he just comes back, and ultimately Lil Death, which obviously orgasm, but it's like a lot more than that. It's just like ultimately symbolizes the desires of Chris and everybody else in the movie.
What I got Little Death as the fact that the mask is like an air conditioning duct, and forgive me for making a very basic connection. It's kind of like what so many women see during their first sexual experience because they're just staring at the ceiling where the air conditioning ducts are.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah, no, but Jack Haven absolutely kills it in the role, and the Long December scene is just incredible. It's incredibly you just kind of sit back and enjoy it. And definitely feels like this is the most money Jane's gone to work with, and they use every bit of it really well. I think the points in the movie where it does look artificial and fake are intentional and done very well as well. I love how it starts with the 80s edifice style, and then it kind of snaps it from the practical and the grainy 80s look into the modern look with the CGI blood, which usually I wouldn't say is something I like, but in here it's so intentionally used.
Yeah, it's meant as a mockery, so it's
exactly
good.
So I was like, I'll allow it, Mills Lane. It's just ultimately just Chris trying to awaken, like she talks about early in the movie, and she doesn't identify as she. So, talks early in the movie with, Billy, and you think Billy's just going to be this lost boomer who does not understand sexuality at all. But while she doesn't have the same terminology for what Chris is saying, ultimately she understands what Chris is going through and why Chris is ultimately there. And the connection they have throughout the movie is just beautiful.
There's a lot of visuals in this movie, where Jane Schoenbrunn is just giving you exactly what she says she's going to give you. They refer to Billy as Norma Desmond. Then there's a scene where she's dressed exactly like Norma Desmond. Yeah. I was like, okay.
They refer to Chris's work that got her famous as a psycho rendition from the point of view of the shower curtain.
And then there's a scene where Little Death is the shower curtain. They do everything. Yeah, everything is said and then shoved down your throat on purpose. This movie is not just meta. It's definitely meta. It's a breakdown of the slasher thing. It's it's a takedown of studios who keep putting out shit.
Yes.
All the same time, it goes even beyond the meta to become its own meta, because the movie and the third act totally flips.
Yes.
And it's we're not making a movie. A movie's being made about us right now.
Yeah. And it's just incredible. And Chris, even gets to, fully just explore how it also how just subversive the horror experience was for her at that age of 8 or whatever when she first saw the movie. Yep. And I mean, we all have those subversive experiences, particularly a lot of us with horror, probably at age far too young that have that like ultimately profound impact that she's describing. And then by the end of the movie, she gets to like live out the dream in like her underwear with the like thin little t-shirt, and like she's not thinking about it anymore. The nude scene in the movie with Chris also is like really, really powerful for her, because she's finally out of her mind, and in a good way, not like out of her mind crazy, but out of stop thinking so much, which she talks about early in the movie, keeps her from, you know, ultimately being able to, you know, give way to her sexual awakening. And so it's like she's in her own head. The way she gets out of her own head is the junk food, and you know that's why it's like the junk food and like the movie culture of like all of that is like so poignant. And so many of us probably
so much junk food imagery, like so much junk food imagery.
Oh, we're in the golden age of gummies.
Yeah.
Like
there's the scene where Billy's like, you know, setting up the bedroom, and there's a chandelier made of like gummy candies.
Yep. Yeah. It's really sweet, you could say. And you know, then there's just this movie is just, you know, really, really great. Gillian Anderson, can't give enough credit to her as well. In this movie as Billy Presley. It's like it is like Dolly Parton if she was a femme fatale mixed with like Norma Desmond and a bunch of other things as well. But
yeah, then we also get like a cool, like it's a very long scene right before the long December scene is part of it, but like we actually watch Chris and Billy watch Camp Miasma. And the ratio changes, and the film grain changes, and like everything, and it's very cool to see like what the actual original material was, even though that is also like basically parody. So it's like this funny thing is this is a straight up parody movie, but it never feels hysterical. Like it's not like Airplane, you know, but it is parody the whole way through.
Yeah, no, I do think this is like their most fun movie so far, like, and that's by, you know, and that's by like intent, and it is funny. It's not hysterical though. Like it's funny though, and it is, and like the Zoom scene particularly is like very like lowbrow funny in an obvious way. Dylan Baker, shout out to Happiness himself, making the cameo here as like
maybe the best cameo in the movie. Just how like over the top he is. Like
yeah,
what exactly. The fuck?
Yeah, and there's like when Chris is like finally like just like letting it loose, like I'm gonna include a lot of like queer identity within this movie, and like it is going to be woke, you know, and it's just like
and the two execs have an assistant, and their tagline just says queer assistant.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so great. And you know, it's just like when she brings up bringing back Billy Presley, there's like, why? Like, why? And like, I do think that Billy living at the camp all these years is symbolizing her own version of being trapped as well. Like, so like, it isn't just Chris being freed. Billy's also getting freed within this. And, you know, it's like, the over the top, like a practical blood with like little death, I feel like is so intentional as well. You know, just to symbolize like that release that they're all holding within them of their desire. Like desire is literally written in bold caps on the notebook at some point. It's not being hidden here. So if you like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, if you like Friday the 13th, if you love both, this is going to be probably your favorite movie ever. Because it truly is, I think, simple as that. It is.
And I want to shout out Sarah Sherman as the agent. She was great.
Yes. And Eva Victor also in this movie of Sorry Baby fame as the DJ. You know, like there's the whole, you know, supporting cast when they are in it play their roles very, very well. And the perspective changes, I think that's something I probably pick up on a lot on. I think there is a lot to pick up on rewatches of this movie. But at the same point, I didn't feel overwhelmed with this movie, which is a surprise to me because I was preparing to feel emotionally overwhelmed and like psychologically and mentally overwhelmed with this movie. And I didn't. Like this movie, I was surprised at how much I could sit back and kind of let it wash over me, and I was still able to take in the more obscure, abstract parts. Like, I just really am in tune with Jane, I feel like, and 3 for 3 again. So I'm just excited to see what they do next, because this like spiritual trilogy of like the trans journey, I think, is really powerfully done, and I've never seen anything like it.
All right, well, let's rate this thing then. I think we wound up the same. Like I'm still high on I Saw the TV Glow. Like it's a very, very hard thing to top. I don't know. I mean, given enough time, Jane Schoenbrunn probably will top it. But right now, this is great, but it's not I Saw the TV Glow. I'll just say it. I'll be the one to say it. So I'm at a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, I try not. I Saw TV Glow is like one of my favorite movies ever. I've only been able to watch it twice now, and it took me a long time to watch it a second time. This movie I could watch tomorrow, and not in a bad way, but I really enjoyed it. It's a 4.5 for me as well. I think it's an absolute success. For some people, I think they're going to love this so much more than I Saw the TV Glow. I could see Abby for being one of those people, for example, who ends up being like, this worked way better for me than those first two movies did. So no shame to anybody at all with that.
Yeah, this movie's fun. I Saw the TV Glow is not fun.
No.
This is fun. Yeah.
Yes, this is a good time, and not in a bad way where it's like it's fun and good. Sometimes you say a movie's fun when it's not, but yeah, obviously, highly recommend it. It looks great in the theater. Great soundtrack, if we didn't mention that as well.
Yeah. Hey, if you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror. Check out the Letterboxd challenge at that QR code. Pause, go there. Drop us a line at wwlhorror@gmail.com. But hey, until next time, I'm JWMaher, and that's Aaron Brooks. This has been another episode of Why We Love Horror. We'll see you next time a movie comes out.